Hello, friends. Yesterday afternoon, there was a cat outside of our apartment here that was yowling. It was very much missing its person, who is away for a few days. And so I went out on the porch and chortled with the cat a little bit, and it sort of settled down, and I was sitting there kind of talking with the cat, and it climbed up on my lap, which is unexpected. This cat has been friendly in the sense of sort of being willing to let us come near and give a few pets and a scratch under the chin or whatever, but usually after a few seconds it wants to sort of grab and, play, and a vigorous sort of playing with the claws out and sometimes the teeth in fun, but nevertheless, we sort of quickly become prey to the predator. But what struck me is the topic that I'd like to address today, which is that life is a battlefield, but it's a very odd battlefield. We tend to think of doing battle against an evil enemy, but in fact, in a sense, what we're doing battle with is creation itself. And this may sound very peculiar, but stay with me here for a second. What we're battling is the universe itself, creation itself, is battling for our attention. Just like the cat yesterday, it was like, I want attention. And, yowling and, coming up. At one point, Nirmala said he was stretched out full length on the screen door. Fortunately, it's a pretty robust screen door, so it doesn't matter if he scratches his claws on it. He's not going to rip it apart. But it was like, I want in. And, if you think about children saying, Mommy, I want you, or just, all of the advertising, all of the, your cell phone is sort of asking for your attention, with little reminders and little alarms that go off, and the phone rings, or the, whatever. It's like, you haven't updated your this program or the other thing, or you haven't backed up your computer in however many days. And it's like there's no end to it. But nature itself, in a sense, is also asking for our attention. Flowers are beautiful, partly so that we will notice them and care. There was a fascinating book that I read some years ago that talked about how we think that we plant a garden. And, it's something that we do, and the plants have nothing much to say about it. But he said, in fact, one of the points of the book was, in fact, that garden or that orchard is also influencing us. It's like they are playing us. When the apples are sweet, we will eat them and we will propagate the seeds, or the birds will eat the berries, and then, the seeds go all over the place. And then the bushes crop up, and it's like we're part of a conscious universe, but it's all calling for our attention. And underneath all of that is God. Now, God is also, in a sense, looking for our attention, but never sort of demanding it or asking for it. It's like that still small voice, and it's so easy for our consciousness to be screaming and hollering, or, just busy with the noise and commotion of life, that we don't listen. We don't hear the still small voice. We're not aware of it. And then, there may be some little inkling way in the background, a little red warning light on the dashboard of our consciousness that goes off. And if we catch it, We don't make the wrong move or the mistake. We don't say the thing that we shouldn't say that we then regret for years afterwards, etc. And so take notice, and I say this also to myself, take notice of the battle as it's being waged, because we always have a choice where we put our consciousness. We may not think so. We may think that, oh, well, such and so is calling, therefore I have to respond in that way. As long as we do it consciously, as long as we're aware that it's God's hand behind all the alarms, behind all the cries for our attention, whether overt or subtle and kind of inward, then we can perceive that presence and always be mindful of the fact that we don't give our attention to God automatically. It's not automatic at all. We have to choose that. We have to want it enough, tune into it enough that it's part of our daily life, that it's fresh every day. So win the battle of consciousness, the battle for our attention. Choose consciously where that attention goes, and give at least some of it every day to God's presence within and around us. Because if we look for God's hand, we can find it, we can see it, we can feel that loving, joyful presence within. But if we don't, then we just get caught in outwardness. And pretty soon we're sort of like a kid at the zoo. It's been a fun day. The first few hours were really exciting. We got to see the lions and the tigers and the alligators and the elephants and the giraffes or whatever it was. But then it's like, you have lunch and I don't want to see the hippopotamuses and I don't want to, it's like I want to go home. And all of us can get to the place where we've just poured out too much attention into the world in one way or another. We've stared at the cell phone, the computer screen, the TV screen, even the screen of nature itself, which is incredible and so nourishing and grounding and helpful. But if we're constantly pouring energy out through the senses, then it's like we have nothing. We've dissipated all the energy from the inside. So some of it has to go in sooner or later if we're to achieve true fulfillment. So give some of that attention directly and specifically to God in whatever form you find most compelling, most endearing, most magnetic to your own heart. And you'll find great fulfillment from that practice. Win the battle for your attention. Give some of it to God. Jai Guru. Namaste.